Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back. This is Kristie with AG Takes Over. I'm glad you're here. I have been wanting to make today's video for a while, so I'm excited to share this with you. I'm going to be sharing some of our dolls from our collection, but I've picked one ambassador for every face mold that AG has ever made. So I do want to say that the reason I'm able to do this video is because we recently got a number 4 again. This is our third number 4. I am not the kind of person who needed to have every face mold. So we got a number 4 and I didn't connect with her and we sold her. Got another number 4, didn't connect with her. Sent her into the hospital knowing that we would get an American Girl head instead of the PC head that we sent in, and I was fine with that. I actually really like the subtle changes to the American Girl version of her head. They told us before we sent her in that they had enough heads, and it turns out they were wrong, so they sent her back to us and I sold her. One of the big issues for me is coloring. I know they're all going to be faded if they're earlier ones, but the last one, and I said this, I disclosed this when we sold her, to me looked almost grayish, like a gray tint. She photographed fine on her own because you can use filters and everything, but when you would put her next to another doll, it was very obvious, like one looked a little more cadaver-like. So I did not connect. And then we recently got one who was in the absolute best shape of any number 4 that we have seen. At least, I mean, this was our third, and had the best coloring and everything. Like, she's a keeper. So, at least for the foreseeable future, we have a 4 in our collection, which meant we now do once again have every face mold represented. So I figured, why not make a video? Let me pause to see who I'm going to grab first. And in the meantime, if you haven't clicked subscribe, please go ahead and do that. That's all it takes. All right, 1 second. All right, so the first doll that I grabbed was Miss Marie Grace. And this is the one that I actually, by the time this airs, I will have sent out long ago. She was the giveaway doll that I did for hitting 1,000 subscribers. So some of you who've been watching my channel for a while know that I film well in advance. So who knows when this is airing, but she was given away in the first, at the end of the first week of June. So Marie Grace, was a unique face mold for a long time. And I think that, really heightened the wow factor around her for a lot of people. Of course, there have always been people who are Marie Grace haters from the beginning and still are. I did not love her face mold initially. It's not my favorite, but I definitely like it more now. And then, of course, now with Covey and several Truly Me girls with this same face mold, it is not unique anymore, but this is the original. And if you do love her, let me know why. What specifically about her face makes her so adorable to you? And if you don't, you can share that. Just be kind and know that this is some people's face. So being unkind about this mold can feel unkind to them. All right, so there's Marie Grace, pausing to grab another girl. All right, I had these plans for okay, when it's the Josefina mold, who do I go with? Do I pull 2 so I can show the oldest and the newest? Or do I go with Grace's childhood Josefina? I'm just going with who's close, to be honest. So Luca is a great representation of the Josefina mold. And Josefina's mold is one of the earlier ones, obviously. If you've been collecting AG for a while, you know that this has been their favorite for, once they introduced it, because it was all classic for a while. But this has been a really popular one, and they've made this face mold black and biracial and white and racially ambiguous and Latina, and so I think they feel like this is a safe mold. This is a mold that reads can read lots of different ethnicities. Some people are okay with that because they love her mold. Some people are not okay with that because it feels lazy or safe. And some people love the mold and still feel like, please give us a little more diversity. So I think they've gotten away from her being the go-to. They've really, in the past few years, come out with more face molds or brought Marie Grace back. Yeah. I really like this doll. I do like the Josefina face mold, and I in particular like this doll. And she's one of the few with the lower painted lashes, with painted lashes, but especially with lower ones that I don't like want to take them off immediately. So yeah, there's Luca. Let me grab somebody else. All right, I'm clearly not going in order of release. The third face mold I'm sharing is Jess. And I have a girl version, well, I mean, plenty of them, and then I have a boy version up there somewhere that I'll grab in a second. But she was nearby, and she does happen to be one of my favorite Jess mold dolls that we own. She's clearly maybe not, you know, the oldest, but she is an older version, so she has the eye shape of an original Jess. There you go. I think she just has the sweetest face. We got her very TLC, and I thought, I don't know, I'll see how much she can be fixed up and see if I want to keep her or just pass her on to somebody else, but she's so sweet. Yeah. There's no passing her on to anybody. And her eyes are pretty evenly sized and evenly this way, which is, you know, an accomplishment sometimes for this mold. But I really like the Jess mold. We have a couple that are like the newest versions of it. I don't like it as much. I really don't. I don't hate it. That's harsh. But I don't like it near as much. I really like the earlier versions best. All right, let me grab her male counterpart. Okay, here is Oliver. And he is newer. His eyes are open a little wider, just a little more round in shape. And I will put them side by side. Creeper. Not me being a creeper peeking in between them. But yeah, let me know what differences you see between boy versus girl or newer versus older. Again, I don't know the date on her. I'm just saying compared to Jade, who's our number 64 that we got from the store a year ago-ish, she definitely has an older face mold than that. All right, next up, well, hold on, you'll see. All right, next up is the Joss mold. And if you don't like the Joss mold, shh, I'm just kidding. Again, you can say what you like about each mold and maybe why one is not your personal preference. Just keep in mind, every doll in here looks like somebody, so be nice. But to me, there will never be a cuter Joss mold doll than the OG Joss. I think she's just the sweetest. I really value that she's the only one that doesn't have the painted lashes. We currently have 2 custom Josses because I got one from the benefit sale last year just to be able to change. I gave her Marie Grace eyes and we change out her wig. And then my wife used the Joss mold for her mini-me. So she has a burgundy wig and blue eyes, like grayish blue. And then the twins, we have the twins and we have Maritza. I think that might be it. Yeah, 6 Joss molds, that's all. But I love her the most. I really do. I think that there's just, especially once, you know, the mean girl eyebrows and the painted lashes, which there are exceptions, but in general, I'm not a super big fan. Just make them look a lot older, which there's nothing wrong with. But to me, there's something very just like sweet, and she's a little more, she's definitely a younger look, and I really like it. So there she is, her dainty little nose. Guess I could have been doing profiles for all of them. I'm not going back and doing it. I'll do it from here on out. Next up, I'm grabbing Sonali molds, and Miss Simone is who happened to be closest. Fine by me, because I think she is adorable. We had actual Sonali until recently and sold her. Again, it's not about the prestige dolls for me. It's about who we like and who we connect with, and we just weren't particularly attached to the Sonali that we had, so no regrets about selling her. She was like the apple of somebody's eye and kind of completed their collection, and it was a doll that they never thought they would own, so go for it. She's much more appreciated elsewhere. Anyway, if you have been collecting for a while, you know that this is one of the molds that has changed the most. I would say Jess and Sonali molds, to me, have changed the most. And I might do a separate video that's like grabbing our oldest ones and our newest ones and comparing them. But what has changed over time for this mold is the eyes getting more narrow set and deeper set, I would say. I mean, other than like all of their faces, but that's more of a matter of just the factory and how they cool and whatever. But the eyes definitely seem to have changed. I think she's a good one. I think she's a good example of one that the eyes are not too deep set. And they're not too narrow. And then I'm not going to hit pause because I grabbed the boy counterpart, the boy Sonali mold. And here he is. So there's Teo. And we'll get a good look at him by himself first, in focus ideally, right? I also think that Teo is a good example of, they're nice and wide, and they're not deep set, so. And here they are. I'm going to creep in between them again just so I can make sure that they're centered and in focus. Sonali mold is one of my favorites. Yeah, it is. It's a shame that I don't feel as confident that I can like get a good one these days from AG, because it probably would do some CYOs in that mold again. I've only done like one CYO in the generator, and it was a Sonali mold. So it's a shame that I don't feel more confident that you can get a good one with like wider set eyes and not so deep set. However, if you have watched my channel for any length of time, you know that I seem to be a magnet for amazing deals, or can like sniff out a good, like find a CYO Sonali mold for typically under $50, sometimes significantly under, but typically under $50 when it all is said and done. On Facebook Marketplace and even eBay, but definitely Facebook Marketplace. So the universe keeps sending them to me. What can I do? I'm not going to turn them away. All right, let me grab somebody else. Next up is Karin. Move her over here. And again, she was one that was unique. And for like a minute, her face mold was unique. And then when they kicked every single Truly Me doll to the curb and replaced them, they brought in Karin 2.0, who's basically Karin, except for no blue hair underneath. It does and doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me why you would have one that is like essentially the exact same doll. But a lot of people didn't get the Girl of the Year because of the blue. And also the Girl of the Year's shelf life is limited. So I think it did make sense for them to be like, well, let's give people a more permanent option and one that doesn't have the blue hair. So I am torn. If I had waited, I would have probably been more inclined to go for whatever her number is, 124. I don't know. You know who I'm talking about. But I liked that she didn't have the blue. I don't dislike this. I just think it's hard to match sometimes. So I would have probably gone with all black hair, but she had the lower lashes. So, and I don't love them. So I don't know. 6 of one, half a dozen of another. Her eyebrows are definitely unique. Prior to her, I don't know that AG had done eyebrows where the hair kind of grows down. It was always more like this. And this has a lot of downward growth, which is not really about the face mold, right? The focus is the face mold. Here's a profile. It was interesting when she came out, a lot of people, you know, the leaked pictures, a lot of people were like, I think she's just a Jess mold, or she's just a whatever. She's just Nanea. She's a modified Nanea. She's different enough that she's definitely not Nanea. Actually, the Nanea mold will be next. So I think she looks a little bit more like the Disney ILY princess dolls, a little bit more like anime. I don't think her head is bigger. It just, maybe it's just that the eyes feel so much wider to me. I think she's pretty, but it wasn't a feature that kind of like a little bit more exaggerated or like wider eyed feel wasn't something that I necessarily wanted them to start doing with all of the molds. So, and they didn't, because they've come out with people after that, or they've come out with new dolls after that. So, all right. Next up is Nanea. Well, this is Miley, but she is a Nanea mold. She is a Nanea doll. I just customized her. So she has some cute little subtle freckles and some false lashes instead of vinyl ones, and obviously has been rewigged, but that's it. And I pierced her ears. So Nanea has the painted notches, no actual notches. And in later iterations, that's something that they can keep or take off, right? Because it's a paint thing, not a mold thing. So up there, we have one of the newer Truly Me ones. I call her Sabine, but I don't remember her number, 118. I have no idea. And she doesn't have the painted notches. So here's her profile. Well, there's her hair profile. Give me a second. There we go. She's a very dainty nose like Joss, but it's less pointy. It's more rounded at the tip. And she's one that a lot of people took a long time to get used to, because when she first came out, she didn't feel like an American Girl mold. I think this is a recurring thing for people, is sometimes they just take a while to get used to the molds. She already existed when I got into American Girl, so I didn't have any of that feeling, and I liked her mold from the get-go. I really do. I think it is precious. All right, let me grab somebody else. Next up is Addie, and this is not the oldest face mold, the oldest Addie we have, but she's one of the older ones. So this is Delphine. I rudely woke her up. She doesn't appreciate it, but here she is. And she is a Truly Me 50. Probably our oldest ones right now are a 45 and a 50. There we go. Just like a little bit of a maybe scuff mark or shine mark there, it looks like. I will say Addie's mold took about 2 seconds to grow on me. I never disliked it at all, but it wasn't like among my favorites for about 2 seconds. I don't know, a month. And it is definitely up there. Sonali and Addie are definitely up there. I don't know. I like most of the face molds, to be honest. There's a handful that yeah. I may or may not tell you which ones, but there's a handful that are not my favorites, but Addie's definitely is not among my bottom ones. And then I have Kingsley, who is our boy Addie mold, and I'll give him his own limelight time, and then I'll do a side-by-side. Let me just move Delphine. There we go. And there they both are side by side. And I see a difference, and this is not boy versus girl so much as older versus younger, but I definitely see a difference in facefulness. Like, I've never considered Kingsley thin-faced, but next to Delphine, he does look a bit... He looks less round. Yeah, but they're so cute. Maybe I'll do at the end, because I'll probably do an All My Dolls video that is organized at some point, maybe just trying to mix it up. I'll do an All My Dolls video that's by face mold, but maybe at the end of this, I'll just put the stats of like how many of each face mold we have. Be fun to know. I kind of have an idea, but I have to look. All right, I think I can get a few more in before I go to work, and then I'll finish up later. So here is classic mold, obviously. This is Sydney, and she represents me as a child. She's not a doll from my childhood because, if you know, I got into collecting as an adult a few years back, but she represents me as a kiddo. And profile. So I do see why people initially thought that, hold on, focus. I do see why people initially thought that Joss was a classic mold, or why some people say she's too similar to a classic mold. But they really are different. I don't know, maybe I should grab Joss and do a side-by-side, but they really are different. I will say, aside from just like face chubbiness, one thing that I notice varies from classic to classic is this spot right here. Like, my face is a good example right now. Because of the light, you can see this side looks fine and this side looks really dark, almost like I have a smudge. I don't, but it looks like I have a smudge there. So sometimes, or there's like kind of less obvious. Anyway, maybe then now that's all you're gonna see. Sometimes I feel like there's like a really dark shadow here. And if I see it on a doll, then I can't unsee it. And I don't love it. So I didn't realize that I was this persnickety about classic molds. But we had a 21 and I saw that and I thought, it makes her look mean. I don't know why. It makes her look mean. And then I couldn't unsee it. And so we sold her. With a collection this big, I want to make sure that I really like each doll. Otherwise, what are they doing here? Because they could make room for somebody else, right? So, yeah, but I like her. I don't notice. I mean, every doll has that, right? We all have this kind of bridge of our nose. But with some dolls, it's just a little, and with some classic mold dolls, it's a little more prominent, and then it just creates a shadow constantly. And yeah, she does not have it. Oh yeah, her boy counterpart. 1 second. Here he is. He's obviously newer because he's one of the brand new Truly Me dolls. And here's the side-by-side. Excuse my creeping in the background. Again, talk to me about the differences you see. Talk to me about what you like about each face mold. Anything you don't, nicely, you're welcome to share. There they are. All right, and I think that's it. It's not it, but I think that's it because I have to go to work. So through the magic of editing, I'll be right back in multiple hours my time, no time your time. All right, so midday, halfway through the workday, and I have Clotty. This mold, I love it so much. She's so pretty, so pretty. I remember when the leaks came out and it was like people saying she's just a McKenna mold, and I was like, no, she's not a McKenna mold. She's clearly different, but I don't know if she's her own mold, or, you know, it's so hard to tell from those leaked stock photos or whatever, but she's so pretty. And I'm not going to let this become a rant about how much more she deserves, how much more love she deserves from the company, but she's amazing. I feel about her the way that I feel about Gabriella. Like, in spite of the company seeming to not care at all, she's great. She is just great. You deserve better than they're giving you. All right. I've got 1, 2, 3 more face molds. So 1 second. Okay. I said everybody was going, oh, that's just Clottie's just a McKenna. Okay. No, because this is what McKenna looks like. Very different. Oops. Thought I was going to lose the stand. So that's McKenna's face mold. And as you know, she has now been used in one other doll, a Truly Me doll. Different hair. She has Senegalese twists, and the other one just has spiral curls, and is 1 shade lighter or 2 shades lighter. Anyway, lighter skinned. But there is McKenna. I do not love her bottom lashes. I don't mind Clottie's. Like I said, it's very hit or miss. In general, I'm fine if they didn't do these painted lashes at all. But since they did, I will say some of them bother me more than others. I don't love the way that hers just continue all the way around. There's no break in them at all. I don't know, it just looks a little weird to me, but I really do like her face mold. And I know that a lot of people say it just looks younger, and yes, I agree at times it does, but does it right now? I don't think that she reads particularly like a child right now. Like you know, she doesn't look 6. I think she's cute. I do like her. All right, 1 more, no, 2 more. Next is Kaya, and I was going to, I think there's a weird lighting issue, but does that help? No. Next is Kaya, and I was going to get like Kaya and Logan, because I've been doing like the classic girl and boy mold, and the Sonali girl and boy, and Addie girl and boy, but I was like, it's the same. So anyway, here's Kaya's mold. And I really like our Kaya. I say this all the time, but she looks like she's humoring an idiot, but not for much longer. It's true. She just looks like I'm gonna put up with you for just a couple more minutes and then I'm done. And I don't know if she's gonna like give somebody a piece of her mind, or if she's just gonna walk away from them mid-sentence, but she doesn't have much patience left for it, and I can relate. All right, next one is the last one. So this is the newest member. Her name is Lily. So by far best condition. I mean, her hair is soft. It needed a little reworking to, just a washing, but it's soft. The bangs were not messed up at all. I gave her just a tiny bit of color here to restore some color, but her limbs aren't gray like our second one was. She's really pretty. And I do believe she is an earlier version. I believe that based on her neck stamp and also just the year of the, like the age of the collection of that she came from. I can word today. That yes, so we got her from somebody whose collection spanned these years to these years, and that lets me know she was one of the earlier ones, I believe. But there she is. She has like the very starting, she has soft lashes. They're so nice. You can just, she has like the very start of Silver Eye, but hopefully we have a while and we'll see what we do once they actually turn, you know, once she looks like a cyborg. But you can kind of see it right in there. All right, so that's everybody. Hold on. That was number 4, Nanea, Jess, Addie, Sonali, Karin, McKenna, Claudie, Josefina, Marie Grace, Classic, Kaya, and Joss. Everybody they've ever made, and the boy counterparts for some of the, for any that they've made boy counterparts too. I'll take their pictures and put them on like some, you know, quick montage or something, but hope that was helpful. If you ever want to see specific side-by-sides of any of them, or like earlier versions versus newer versions, I probably have them, so just let me know. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.